Hello and welcome to the Monday Morning Wrap here on Sports Tree Ltd. Folks, I'm Connor Rancher and we're going to get this weekend wrap-up all started on the hardwood. In the NBA, the Philadelphia 76ers lead the Eastern Conference, rattling off 6 straight wins to improve to 8-2 on the season. Out west, it's the Golden State Warriors. They're 8-1 and have won 4 consecutive games. In the NFL, well, it was the day of the underdog. The Jags, Giants, Cards, and Titans all got it done in extremely unlikely situations, to be quite honest. It was a tough weekend for me, folks, and I'll get back to work, I promise you. In the NHL, on the ice, it's the Florida Panthers leading the way. They have yet to lose in regulation this season, producing 21 out of a possible 22 points on the year, sitting atop the NHL, and quite frankly, it's not even close. In the UFC, folks, I was 5-1 with my head-to-head picks in the UFC. Overall, I went 11-1 on Saturday night. Quite the night for returns for all of us here at Sports Tree. Thanks for tuning in and playing along. In the PGA, Victor Hovland won his 3rd PGA Tour title on Sunday at the Mayakoba Golf Course. He set the 72-hole scoring record in the process and became the first ever back-to-back winner at the event. Not a bad start to the season. On the Formula One circuit, folks, Sergio Perez became the first ever Mexican-born driver to podium at the Mexican Grand Prix. In front of him, it was Lewis Hamilton, and Max Verstappen won the day. As for my picks this weekend, folks, I talked about the NFL earlier. It was just a perplexing weekend. My first sub-500 weekend on the season, my first losing weekend on the year. I promise you I'll get back to work and we'll get back into the win column next week. In the UFC, folks, I'm red hot right now. Now 47-11-1 in my UFC picks since September. And Lewis Hamilton got on the podium. So we had a pretty solid weekend. Oh, not to mention, I had Canelo by a knockout victory. So a pretty solid weekend in the return on your investments, folks. Let's keep going into this week. Getting into our stump and bump from the weekend now. We just talked about him. Our bump from the weekend has to go to Canelo Alvarez, the first ever lineal super middleweight boxing champion in the history of the sport, and the first ever undisputed Mexican world champion in the history of boxing. That is awesome stuff. It doesn't get bigger than that. Canelo Alvarez, the best boxer of our generation. Book it, cook it. Way to go, knockout victory. The question is now, who's next? What's next? Getting into our stuff of the week now, folks, it has to go to the Buffalo Bills. You simply just can't consider yourself a contender if you lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you put up only 6 points against the Jacksonville Jaguars, they lost their cool, emotional penalties, just a terrible performance. Not a team that I would expect to win in the playoffs, but we'll wait and see. Pretty stumpy performance from the Bills. All right, folks, getting into our sporting menu of the week, and we always start a good course off with an appetizer, and that appetizer comes in the form of Monday Night Football. It's the Bears visiting the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we broke this down on the Bear Down Breakdown last week, and it does not look good for the Chicago Bears. They're the first team since 2008 to throw for less than 200 pass yards in each of their first 8 games of the season. They have to deal with the top 3 Pittsburgh Steelers defense on Monday night, and the Steelers haven't lost to a team below 500 this season. I see this being a low-scoring game, but make sure you take the Steelers to win at home. Folks, your sporting entree of the week is being served up by the MLS playoffs. That's right, they all get started this week, and we got our guy, Aaron Canton, on it. One of the best soccer minds and basketball minds in the industry, for that matter. He broke down the previous match day from the Champions League last week, and he's back with everything you need to know for the MLS playoffs with some picks. Stay tuned to the platform. That article should be dropping this Thursday on our sports beat on our sports blog. Folks, your sporting dessert of the week is being served up to you by the PGA at the Houston Open from Memorial Park. Historically, all but one Houston Open since 2012 has been won by 2 shots or fewer. Carlos Ortiz enters as the defending champion, and he's our first of our 3 picks. He's in great form, coming off a runner-up finish in Mexico this past weekend. At 35-1, the value on the Mexican bomber is simply undeniable. Give me that. Our second pick is Brooks Koepka. He has a unique advantage that hardly seems fair at this track, but who am I to judge? Koepka actually helped to redesign the Memorial Park golf course a few years back to make sure it was up to current PGA standards. This will be his second appearance at the Houston Open. He tied for 5th at this track last year, shooting consecutive 65s to close out the tournament. At 28-1, yeah, give me that. Folks, our third and final pick to look out for going into the Houston Open has to be Sam Burns. He's the betting favorite at 12-1. He's already won a tournament this fall. Like, it would simply be just silly to ignore him. He is that good. Make sure you keep an eye out for Sam Burns. As for a sleeper pick, folks, it's Mito Pereira. In the last 24 rounds, the Chilean is first in strokes gained, tee to green, and ball striking, and third in total strokes gained. And he was third at the Fortinet Championship to kick off this season at 80-1. He is the best value for your sleeper pick. As for your trivia question on this week's edition of the Monday Morning Wrap, folks, we just talked a little golf, and we thought that would be a fair way to transition into a trivia question related around golf. Which golfer invented the beverage that is now named after him? Folks, head on over to sportstreeltd.com right now. Hit sign up or subscribe. Remember to upgrade your subscriptions to upgrade your chances in winning up to $15,000 a year and tickets to see your favorite teams play live. Folks, I'm Connor Roundtree, and that's a wrap. Order up.